Good morning. Welcome to My Public Life as American Nerd. I am Eddie. And this morning we have Walter Phelan. Good morning, Walter.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Dr.
Good.
Satan.
Yeah. Aye.
Is that what you're most famous for when you go places, or is Dr. Satan?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I've done maybe 40 other monsters in my career, but yeah, he's the standout for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, Rob's fan base is so huge. It's unbelievable the power that guy has.
Oh yeah. With the music turning into movies, music, it just combines well. People were ecstatic when he started doing movies, and then he kind of blew up when he did Halloween, but now they're talking about the monsters, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
they're hot on the monsters. I've seen a bunch of sculpts already online, and
You
Wayne
have.
Toth is doing all this stuff, of course.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Rob in the first place, was through Wayne Toth. He's a makeup artist in Hollywood, and he worked for K&B Effects for years and years. And I ran into him on Dust Till Dawn, and he ended up doing my makeups on that, and we became friends. And then K&B ended up using me for years after that. TV shows, movies, just whenever they needed a skinny monster in there, they'd throw me in the suit.
Yeah.
And so then he started working for Rob, and he does all the stuff on his stage shows and all his movies and all his video stuff.
Oh
all the
wow.
makeup,
Okay, the stage
monsters,
too.
all the props, all that stuff is Wayne Toth. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so of course he had shot House of Thousand Corpses and gave it to Universal, and they saw it and they wanted to see the Dr. Satan guy. So I think that was up to Universal. They said they gave him money for 2 more weeks of reshoots, and that's when I came in. And he just asked Wayne who he thought would be good to play the Doctor, and Wayne
So
tossed it out.
so they were never supposed to show the doctor?
I don't think Rob ever wanted to see him. No,
Oh,
he just
wow.
wanted to leave that in the imagination of the audience. Because for a while he was like, maybe it was the grandpa, maybe it was this other character, and so he wanted it just to be this ethereal thing that maybe the audience made up in their own mind. And then I think Universal, I mean, some of this I make up on my own, and then other I know for a fact. I know they wanted to see him, and then gave him 2 more weeks of reshoots. That's when I came in, so I barely even saw Rob, and I didn't see the other cast members except for Jen. Um, and I thought I didn't think that much about it. I knew about Rob a little bit, and I thought, yeah, it was another movie I did. It was another guy. And then bam, it blew up.
It became iconic. There you are, right there on screen.
There
I
you
have you on
go.
the
That's
screen. Dr. Satan. You have a guy, I think he's on a gurney.
Yes.
What
Chad,
are you doing to him?
operating on his brain, I think.
Yeah. Dr. Satan, it was so iconic because in the movie he's talked about so much throughout the entire movie, and
Yeah.
finally get to be seen at the end. And it's one of those characters that takes over the movie. Dr. Satan is the iconic figure throughout the whole movie, and there you are. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the fact that they kind of came up with it at the end and on the fly is even more cool. Because I wish everyone could see that set, how it really was.
Uh,
Um, it was funny because I think I did 3 days on the film and only shot one day.
oh wow.
And then a few days later, Wayne Toth had called me and said, "Oh, Rob's pissed. All the footage is out of focus."
Wow.
And so if you really study it closely, you see it's almost kind of a still. And I mean, there was a lot more footage that was shot.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And so that was just one of those things, where.
Well, it
And
works
then of
with
course,
it kind of works with how he wanted to make the movie using Dr. Satan, because he didn't want Dr. Satan to be seen anyways.
yeah, right.
Kind of
But
worked
then
with
when you
his,
do see it, it's such an amazing design, and the whole thing is just so fucking cool.
Did you have any influence on how he's supposed to be? Because you are from a background of doing special effects, correct?
Yeah, I still do. Yeah, I still work. I'm back in LA now. I'll probably be over at Legacy Effects on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for maybe the
Oh,
next three
awesome.
months. Yeah, so I'm going to work the rest of the year down here, and then I head back home to Oregon. My
Did you
safety
have
zone.
did you have any influence on doing Dr. Satan?
No, no, not at all. Just on, how I wanted to move and, you know, just my thing, But as far as design and everything else, no, that was Rob. I've seen a sketch that Rob did of him, which was pretty cool. Looks very much like it. And then he lets Rob do his own thing. I
Uh,
mean, Rob lets Wayne do his own thing and sculpt.
so Rob has a lot of the vision already in his mind before he starts
Yeah.
the movie, and kind of works with the special effects department.
Well, yeah, because he sketches also. So, he's an all-round artist. You see Rob on a set and he'll be down in the corner painting, you know, painting weird shit on the wall and before it takes. He's just a cool artist, that guy.
Yeah,
As
I love
mellow
his.
as can be, Huh?
I got his new album cover shirt right here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, awesome.
I like his work on a lot of his older albums with the like the kind of monsters look on his old albums, that kind of art. I think I have an album somewhere.
Yeah, kind of a retro 60s thing,
Oh
very
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Very surf punky and Rat Fink and all
Yeah,
that
Rat
kind of
Fink,
cool
yes.
60s stuff. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff too. I'd love to see it more in his movies. One of my favorites of his is Super Beasto. I love that
Oh,
cartoon.
that is awesome. I love that.
I just think it's great.
Yeah. Now you said you're working on Guardian of the Galaxies 3. Did you work on the other two previous?
We did part 2 at Legacy years ago. The first one was done in England, and then part 2 came to Legacy. And then, of course, 3 was supposed to happen, but there was all that controversy with Gunn and all that,
Yeah.
and it kind of left his plate, and they just held out, and then that faded away. So he's back again.
Well, one of my favorite Marvel characters of all of Marvel is that guy right there. If you can see, I
Rocket?
I have a collection of Rocket up there.
Yeah, I know a little bit about it, but I can't say nothing
Oh, about the movie?
about Rocket.
Oh. If it has
Cool.
anything to do with the comic books, yeah, I'm pretty sad. If
Oh,
it has,
okay.
yeah. If it has anything to do with the comic books, then yeah, it's pretty sad.
The only
Yeah.
thing I do know that might happen in that is that he might be a puppet. That's all
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I want to go back to when you worked from Dusk to Dawn. That's one of my. I think that's one of my. If it's not my favorite vampire movie, I love that movie. I love the way it's written by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
The way he wrote that movie and the dialogue in that movie is incredible. That and Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and The Lost Boys are my 3 favorite vampire movies. But I think Dusk to Dawn stands out just because of the writing.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. I was still pretty early in my career. So I started making effects in like 92. And I work for Todd Masters Effects. He's Masters Effects.
Right.
He's up in Canada now. And I just started. I didn't know. I mean, back then, of course, we didn't have the internet, so there was maybe 2 or 3 books you could find on doing makeup and prosthetics.
Huh?
And I'd study that stuff. And I'd played around with it as I was a kid in the 70s, when I was in high school and stuff. And then it was music till it kind of came back in my head. Just the monster thing came back to me, and how I kind of always wanted to be a monster, at least try that, see what it was like, to be a movie monster, which was always my favorite guy in the movies. I always loved Frankenstein, the creature, and Dracula, all more than any of the people.
Now you also got to work with Tom Savini.
Yeah. Oh well, let's see. A little bit. I know he was on a movie called Necronomicon, but
Yeah.
he was just kind of hanging out. He was going to do a big zombie thing in that, and they cut it. And what else? Not really. That was the only thing I think I remember him being on.
Yeah. He played a pretty big role. And
Dust Till Dawn, of course.
From Dusk
Yeah.
to Dawn, yeah. That would be phenomenal to not just see his special effects, but to have him on the movie set as well.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. And of course, I see him at cons all the time.
Now, what
But
was it?
Dust,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go
What I
ahead.
was saying about Dust Till Dawn was that when I was working with Todd, I just kept bugging him to get me in a suit. And then we were doing Tales from the Crypt the last couple seasons at that point. And so I did a vampire and like an old man in a couple episodes. And he was like, okay, that's fine. So that's when I got like the demon suit in Demon Knight.
Yeah,
That's how I
Demon
got
Knight.
that. And so that kind of proved as, you know, that got me into full-time suit work. And KMB guys had seen Demon Knight and they were just prepping for Dust Till Dawn. So they're like, we want those skinny guys as our vampires. We want those dudes. So
You
that's
guys,
kind of how I
you
met
guys,
them.
you guys move really good. You come into the character, uh, just animated. Actually, your movement, your theatrics with the costume works very well.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, I always try to put, for years and years, they'd use stunt guys as monsters and stuff like that. And always very kind of sluggish and just, I don't know. They never
Yeah.
looked that great to me. So I always like to really think about the monster, think about like his point of view, even though he doesn't say anything or whatever, but you know, and really think about different kinds of animals, movements, stuff like that, with like cats, or whatever.
What makes it look more like an animal is the way you move your
Yeah.
legs. Your legs are pivoted in a position where you kind of look animal-like.
Well, yeah. Well, on Demon Knight, we had those stilts on, and those were that's probably the worst thing I ever wore.
Huh.
We did all body paint. We had very few prosthetics on. It was mostly our bodies painted. That was torturous. And then we had helmets that we could pull on and off, which was okay. But we had these battery packs in our crotches for the tails to move, which I think maybe you see for a half a second in the movie. You go through all that stuff and you never even see something like that. And so those were pretty uncomfortable to wear. And then the stilts, they were maybe a 2-inch pad, so our feet are straight down. So we had to keep moving just to stay up, which added to the whole thing with those monsters, because they always looked like they were ready to pounce like at any second. So it's funny that things like that just by accident, all that movement makes it feel like something else, and I didn't plan that. Yeah. So things always end up on the fly so much in movies.
Now, what was your first movie? The very first movie then?
Very first movie, after I did a couple of those Tales from the Crypts, I did The Prophecy with Chris Walken.
Oh, yep.
That was through Scott Patton, who is a designer now at Legacy Effects. So we started at the same time. He's an amazing artist, Scott Patton. He's worked for all the different effects companies, and he designed. So they had this sycophant character, which kind of sat with the Satan guy, and I went out to Arizona for a week and shot that.
That movie stuck in my mind for so many years.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I want to go back and revisit it, because that movie just not just creeped me out, but Christopher Walken plays such a good part in that movie.
Yeah.
But it was so much embedded in my head that that movie was one of the ones that would actually scare me. But,
yeah, it's a great movie. I think the ending kind of peters out, but they took it away from the guy at the end and kind of reshot the ending.
Is there anything that scares you
anymore? Movie wise and stuff? I don't know. Not really. No. I mean,
do you look at movies as an effects artist and kind of like dissect it?
Yes, at first, when I first started, it kind of ruined movies for me. So in the 90s, I had a hard time. I had to reevaluate, I had to switch my brain over after a while, because I would pick everything apart and I'm like, I didn't even watch the movie. I didn't even enjoy it. I'm so involved in picking apart. After a few years, I got rid of that, and I can enjoy a movie again. I don't care if the effects are good or bad. It's whatever. It's a good story, good acting, then it's fine with me. But I'm big on I'm a big old time movie. I like film noir and old westerns and old horror movies, and saw Suicide Squad the other day. That was pretty good. That was quite gory too.
Yeah, it was very gory. Very disappointing, because so many of those actors in the beginning were gone.
Well, that happens in every one of those movies.
I was like,
that's the weird part.
I was looking forward to seeing Pete Davidson. He's from uh, Saturday Night Live. I was looking forward to seeing him as a character, and he was gone.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
gone right away,
Spoiler
but I
alert.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought John Cena was funny.
There's some parts in that movie that I really enjoyed. It. I did really enjoy that movie.
Yeah,
And then it came out to the part that came out was the starfish walking.
yeah, wacky.
Um, yeah, that was kind of zany, wacky, and I was like, "What the hell are they doing?" And I thought that kind of ruined it. But then I looked back. I thought, you know what? I'm a big fan, a huge fan of this guy right here,
Well, yeah,
Godzilla.
me too. Well,
And
yeah.
these and that part reminded me of Godzilla.
Well, they
So
even say it looks like we got a big, you know.
so then I actually enjoyed it. I was thinking, God, this is just like Godzilla. I should embrace this instead of dislike it. So I ended up liking it.
Yeah, and then if you look back through DC Comics, you see it's one of their main villains.
Yeah.
The first group, right? Fight him, I think, that
Yeah.
big starter thing. But it was weird and wacky. We worked on that at Legacy and made hundreds and hundreds of starfish. Oh my God, I ran those
Oh,
starfish.
you worked on that movie, Suicide Squad? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did all the starfish and we did the weasel, which I wish had been in the movie. Because when I re-looked up his character, he was quite a super, he was like a werewolf kind of superhero.
Yeah, the
And
Weasel was one of those characters that was like, I didn't even know they were gonna put him in the movie, and then you see him walking around. That's kind
he
of
was
like one of those
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just made him weird. Like, I don't know. Yeah, but we did all that and Polka Dot Man's makeups, which turned out pretty cool. I thought those were all practical with lights.
I think that effect was really good. How he threw the polka dots around. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So before you got into special effects in movies, you were actually a drummer for a band called Cold September.
Yeah, well, I've been playing drums my whole life since I was like 7. And I was like a 70s kid and loved Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and Alice Cooper and all that stuff. And then I discovered I had a band, high school band. We'd play parties and stuff like that. And then I discovered punk rock in late 79, early 80.
Yep, that's when it all started.
Yeah, I went to the Starwood. I had seen a few things. I had a Sex Pistols record, but I had seen a few things about LA punk, and I went down to the Starwood and saw Black Flag, and I don't know, maybe Red Cross was opening for them. And Dez was singing at the time. And he could get through about 2 songs, and his voice was out.
Did you
And I still have.
Did you grow up in the West Coast or the East Coast?
I grew up in Simi Valley in
Okay.
San Fernando Valley, LA area. Yeah. And so I went all the way down there by myself, took the bus to Hollywood. I had long blonde hair. I was scared shitless waiting in line. Because there were like Nazi punks and, I hadn't seen anything. And I get in and I hid in the back. And I was just in the back and I'd never seen, the music was almost horrible. I mean, Dez's vocals were gone in 2 songs, but the energy of it, I'd never seen anything like that. And there were kids diving off the balcony. And, they were beating the shit out of another long-haired guy way at the front. And it was insane.
Got
And
it.
so from that night on, I went home, cut my hair, and I was punk rock all the way out from that.
Which club was that? The Troubadour or
That was the Starwood.
the Starwood?
Yeah, Rodney Bingenheimer was still playing records in the disco, so you could go in the disco and
I
like singles.
love Rodney. Love Rodney.
And then big band room, and it lasted about another year after that, and they closed it down. And then, of course, punk exploded. I had a band called RF7 for years.
RF7.
RF7, yeah, and we played with all those bands, SD and Bad Religion, and all those guys.
Oh, so you played for many years.
We played for many years, yeah. Even coming back in our older age and stuff. But kind of all the punks came back in 2000s. It was like all the old bands came back, and we were another one that did. And then Cold September came after I got sick of punk, became sort of gang oriented, and every show would turn into a gang fight, and I got out of it. It's not why I did it, because everybody was like friends at first,
Yeah.
And then it became a big rivalry thing.
There's a
So
lot.
we went glam after that. Grew our hair back out, put makeup back on.
So glam rock.
You got back into our girlfriend and wife's closets, and and that was Cold September, and then
Makeup and
uh,
hairspray.
yeah, more hairspray and the crimpers. Back then, you had the crimping. We'd crimp our hair, they're all
Yeah.
sticking up. And then we used to play with Jane's Addiction and all kinds of big bands.
Oh, one of my favorites, James
Yeah.
Addiction.
Yep. And then I quit music, and then I'm 62 now, so I've been in and out of about a million bands.
But you're
right
in
now,
but you're in a band right now. You got together
Yes.
with the band in 2017, right?
Pat Todd and the Rank Outsiders. Pat Todd used to have a punk band called the Lazy Cowgirls out of LA. Did pretty well for years and years. And he actually works at Legacy. And so I've been there, maybe 7 or 8 years now at Legacy, on and off. And his drummer and bass player had quit. And he knew I played, but he thought I was busy and asked me if I knew any drummers. And I was like, yeah, I play. Sure, I'll come audition. So I joined his band, and we've been heading full force since then for about 6 years, 7 years now.
That's
And
cool.
we're going to Texas. We got European tour, which has been canceled twice now because of COVID. Yeah, so hopefully this coming summer, but we don't know.
So last year, did you have any gigs that were not supposed to happen but did happen? Or
Yeah, our big European tour with the Shock Festival, which is pretty big, and then like 2 weeks of gigs are surrounding that festival, and so that's been canceled twice now. Yeah, and so we're back. We played about 3 weeks ago here in LA. We got a gig next week, so we got gigs in the local area, And I think we're going to Texas, hopefully, and then up. We were supposed to go up to Oregon, but now that's bad again. So I don't know. You have to play it by ear right now.
Yeah.
Even with the cons, I don't know if all the cons are going to happen for the rest of the year.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's what did you miss cons from last year? Because that's kind of your livelihood, going out and seeing the public and seeing your fans.
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's definitely like the back end of. That's one thing Rob said about everybody in his movies. Like, well, they're enjoying the back end of the films, which is true. I mean, you saw Sid, king of the cons, and Bill and me and Jen goes out, and Mukes and everybody, So yeah, it helps a lot. Once everything came back a few months ago, I'm booked solid through the rest of this year. So we've got band gigs and cons through December, and let's hope they all happen. I'll be seeing you soon.
Yep, Scare Fair, October 30th this year, 2020, up in Victorville at the San Bernardino Fairgrounds. Walter Phelan will be there.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Do you usually go in costume, or have you been in costume many times?
We started that a couple of years ago, and I've done it about 3 or 4 times now. Usually at the request, if they want to do the in-costume photo ops. I have a gal that redid the Dr. Satan makeup, and we get all dolled up.
Yeah, a lot of people are excited when I post your picture on your arriving picture. They go crazy.
Nice.
A lot of fans that want to see you. It's funny though, because I say Walter Phelan from House of the Thousand Corpses, right? Corpses. They just say Dr. Satan.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
they come on down, and we talk about monsters and movies and music and whatever. I got 8x10s and other trinkets for sale.
Great.
Hopefully I'll have Trick or Treat has a bunch of stuff coming out. They start making like retro action figures from House of 1,000 Corpses, and they've got these nice little busts and ornaments of Dr. Satan and all this cool stuff coming out. So hopefully I'll have that stuff too. Yeah,
that's cool. So Dr. Satan action figure.
Yeah, the Spalding one's coming out. There's ads already, but they're like retro 80s, so they're sort of dopey, and you squeeze their legs together, they're smooth, but they're made that
cool,
way. Yeah. So they got a whole line of stuff. They're gonna do a Dr. Satan, a baby, and and Professor also, which looked pretty cool. Not enough of that guy's stuff.
Another iconic figure from House of the Thousand Corpses is Sid. Doing Captain Spalding. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sid was great. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. He was always really fun at cons. I saw him. Well, in Florida, which was what, 2 years ago, not that long.
We
Before he
have
died.
we have a cosplayer coming out, and he plays Captain Spalding. He looks exactly like him. He's a great cosplayer.
Really?
You look exactly like him. I got to get him over to your booth to take a picture because he looks identical.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss that guy.
Yeah. So that's going to be happening on October 30th. You're going to be in great company with Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist. She plays the demon on Exorcist.
Yeah, nice.
Lisa Wilcox. She's from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5. Bob Briggs. He's going to be there
Cool.
as well.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah. So pretty good lineup for you. There's some other characters, actors. So two gals from Universal. They're called the Talkie Horror Podcast Show. They'll be there as well, and the Grim Light Collective. So and
Cool.
who else? John Massari. He's the composer of Killer Clowns. So
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
so
I know the Kyoto brothers. I used to work for those guys here.
Yeah. Did you used to work with them on certain things or on Killer Clowns?
I wore an alien suit in some kind of straight to Viewmaster movie, and a few other things. Done some auditions with them and stuff. I've known them here, on and off for years.
What was the last movie you done?
Last
that you worked
movie I
on?
did, gosh, I did a Jin movie. That was 5 or 6. That was a long time ago now. You ever see that movie, Jin?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, that was a great movie. I actually liked it. It's pretty cool.
And I've done a lot of commercial work, since then. So not so much movies anymore. But through
Been
Legacy,
working-
I do
Been
some
working on the
commercials.
band.
Yeah, band is really important right now. The music, we want to make something, make something really stick in our last third of life here. We'll never stop. But yeah, a few commercials and but not much film work.
What is your favorite movie
My favorite movie, like of all time,
of all times? Just of every genre. What's your favorite?
the original Planet of the Apes.
Oh,
And I
Wow.
saw that when I was 7 or 8, and so that's really hard to
the
get
one
rid
with
of.
Charleston Heston, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one of my favorite movies. And 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is one of my favorite movies.
Wow, I don't hear that too much, but
I love it.
I do remember that movie quite a bit.
It's great. I grew up with that. Well, you've got steampunk, for years now, which is pretty much from the designs of that movie.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
that's
definitely.
the most steampunk movie there is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the design from the ship is has a lot
Yeah.
to do with that steampunk look.
Yeah, I was obsessed with that thing and collected models of that thing for years and years. And horror movies, I mean, like Creatures and stuff, Creature from the Black Lagoon is probably my favorite old horror movie. That's just my favorite suit I've ever seen. It still is like one of my favorite suits ever.
Yeah, we had our kids watch that movie several times, bringing back the old movies to them.
Yeah.
My youngest son loves it. Yeah, that figures throughout my house.
Yeah.
We have different different types of art, but that figure is one of the figures that is throughout the house.
The Creature, yeah.
The Creature, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, my wife loves that one. Yeah. Going back to the Creature from Black Lagoon, did you ever see that and say, I want to make a costume like that, or
I always just wanted to like be in the costume.
be
I
in the
always wanted to
costume?
be that guy. Yeah. Making it wise, I never thought of that when I was a kid. I never really separated that the guy was wearing makeup or that, the guy had a suit on. In your child's mind, you're like, oh,
That's
it's
a
just,
real creature.
I don't know. You don't think it's a real thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know. You just don't think that the guy's wearing a suit, Then later on, yeah, of course, I got into, I had the Dick Smith book when I was a teenager in the 70s and would make up my friends and, do the best I could. And never thought about going to makeup schools. Well, I think there was one makeup school back then in the 70s. And, looking back, I wish I had at that time, but I was so focused on wanting to be a rock star that, that was-
With latex, working with latex, you used to do that on your friends before you became an artist.
yeah, yeah. But years before, like
Yeah.
years before I ever thought I could make money at it, Um, but at the point where I went and did, I mean, I'd play music and work odd jobs till I'm sick of it, and just enough to buy new drumsticks, new gear, go on tour. Then I ended up getting married and having a kid. And early 90s, I was like, maybe I need a real job,
Yeah.
because this kid's going to eat every day. So I guess they're going to feed him. And it was like, I don't really want to work. So I thought, well, that monsters would be fun. So I just kind of I somehow finagled my way into the makeup effects industry, you know.
Well, you managed to work your way into Guardian of the Galaxies, um, being able to switch from like a horror type movie to a Marvel superhero type movie. Was that a big change in the way
Yeah.
you worked at
As,
the makeup?
as far as me at the shop working,
Yes, yes.
not really. It becomes kind of factory work after a while. I mean, there'll be one-off makeups and puppets and suits and things like that, but something like Guardians of the Galaxy, or when I was there a few months ago, we had done the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, which
Oh,
I think they just wrapped. All practical stuff, all dragons, everything, the zombies, everything's rubber.
yeah.
It's going to be
Oh,
really cool
cool.
if you like that kind of thing.
That
And
yeah.
so now a Guardian show turns into a kind of a factory thing. There are so many prosthetics they need to make. You just end up churning them out every day, you know. And mostly at Legacy, I run the foam latex, which is, old school makeup, but still used. You still have to use foam for a lot of jobs. And there's not a lot of us left in town that really run foam anymore. Some of the kids learn it, but I don't know. The old timers have all kind of gone
It,
out.
it seems like there was a time when CGI was the thing, and everything they did was CGI, like Star Wars movies and
Yeah,
other movies. They use CGI, and I growing up in the '80s and the '90s, being able to see the Star Wars characters and puppets or in costume, that was a thing. That's the reason why I love those movies. That's why I enjoyed the characters, and then seeing them in the later years, just recently, with all CGI characters, it kind of killed it for me.
yeah, and they went way too strong, I think, with CGI from the beginning before it was even good. So you have all these movies with really crappy CGI, and the only way they really pulled that off in the beginning that nobody really used was to like have long shots of CGI stuff that's impossible to pull off human wise, and then go to a close up of something practical. But you know, not many directors did that. You have a close up of some CGI thing that just looked awful. But now it's turned around. These directors now want to shoot all practical stuff. So
Well, the
it's all
practical stuff has gotten better. Has
everything,
gotten
everything goes in circles,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think the effects are so much better now. You can watch a movie and be able to not even be able to tell if it's real or fake. You don't skip a beat. Is what
yeah.
I'm saying. It's just so good.
And it's come to the point, at least with motion capture, where if you see it like the last Planet of the Apes movie, and they've got the motion capture, it's so fucking good. I mean, I'm convinced, I'm totally convinced when I see
Yeah.
that. But I've been told my whole life that I'd never do this job again or that job again. I remember in the 80s when drum machines came around and techno and everything's going
Techno, yeah.
digital. They're like, oh, you'll never play the drums again. It's like, okay. And then I remember when CGI came around, it's like, you'll never run foam latex again. It's like, okay. When I go to Legacy, we get 55-gallon drums of foam. We run through those things pretty quick. So it's all secular, like I said. Everything comes and goes.
Well, this has come back in a hard way, albums.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Albums.
Yeah.
being able to buy albums. I just recently bought the system behind me, and it's pretty awesome because I could take CDs and I can mix them together. I can slow them down. I can play them backwards. I can scratch with them, whatever you want to do with it. I got rid of my whole CD collection. I got rid of all my albums except for the few ones I wanted to keep. And now I'm going back and rebuying albums and
Right.
rebuying CDs just so I can enjoy them again.
Are
And it's
you
so
buying,
weird. Pardon me?
you buying older vinyl or
Yeah,
new vinyl?
both. I'm buying older vinyl and newer vinyl. A lot of the older stuff is coming back with digital copies, and
That's
and they actually have um the album like in certain colors or in certain prints of the album. They're pretty cool. I mean, they've come a long way since when I used to buy records when I was younger. I miss that crackling noise. That
well,
crack.
that's I'm wondering about that because I don't have any of the modern vinyl. I
Mhm.
still have like a collection of older stuff. I don't even have a record player. But I was curious because these new records are not analog anyways, they're digital. So they're
Right.
digital transfers to vinyl. And I wonder if you back to back, played whatever album you want, to choose from, play an original. Yeah, there you go. And then play a digital copy on vinyl. Is there a difference? Do you hear a difference between that analog vinyl and the
Yeah,
digital?
because I have some old doors,
Yeah.
and then I have some new doors, and there is that difference.
Are they fuller? The
You
older
hear a
ones?
lot of with the older ones, you hear a lot of the bass, and that's what I enjoy about the older ones, and you hear a
Yeah.
lot of the crackling in the record, but the newer ones are kind of evened out. uh you don't hear a lot of the bass. It's mixed in with the treble and everything else. The
Right,
mixture
right.
of the music is smoother, but I miss that sound of the older records, like putting the needle on the actual album and listening to it start up and hearing
Yeah.
that bass. It's just something that I enjoy. Either whether I'm listening to it with headphones or listening to it live without the headphones. It's just an awesome sound.
All right. So there is a difference
There is
then.
a difference.
Okay.
If you're looking for that difference, you notice it.
Right. Right.
If you collected albums back in when I was younger, I did. You notice it. But I have some pretty. I have Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band, the original album. I have some some more Beatles, Let It Be. I have a lot of old stuff that two Jimi Hendrix ones,
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix and Otis Redding played in San Francisco. I have that on album.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, that was
Nice.
actually my mom's, and I stole it from her.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I had it since I was a kid. I took it from her and had it in my room for the longest time. Then I was growing up as an adult. I just kept it, so she never got it
Right.
back. Yeah,
But that is what it is. I mean, we record all digitally just because it's convenient and it sounds fine. But when I first started, the thing was you'd have to buy tape. And so when we were younger, we couldn't afford brand new tape, 3-inch tape. So we'd always have to buy older tape and erase them and then re-record, which worked fine. And we'd use Scully machines. And I do prefer that full sound of the analog much more. Um, but shoot, it's so convenient to pop in and record digitally. We just, that's what we do.
but
It's just so easy.
the thing about what I do not like about albums is the fact that you can only fit 4 or 5, maybe 5 songs on one side. So if they
Yeah.
have double albums, you're looking at 2 albums flipping over every 4 songs.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I dislike, especially if you get a greatest hits album and you look. I'm so used to getting greatest hits on CD. You throw that thing on and it plays the whole thing. There's no flipping over. There's no changing them. Uh, that's what I dislike about them because they only play 4 songs on each
Yeah.
album. Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Less is more to me. It makes
Yeah.
those more dramatic and more important. Not as bad as 8 tracks were, where they'd always
Eight
cut the eight
tracks.
tracks during the longest song. You know,
Yeah.
they'd have like a long song on the first side and it would cut in half.
I've got to look for one and show my kids an 8-track, because I don't think they even know what an 8-track is. The cassettes, they just kind of like look at me because I have some old cassettes that have, and we don't have a cassette player anywhere in the house. Nowhere in
Yeah.
the house. Oh, I do have a little Walkman that my son wants to take. He's 9 years old. Let me have that. Let me have that. You don't have any tape to play on it.
You're just gonna wreck this thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. He's like, I want to listen to it. It's like you have to put a tape in it. So I might give him some of my old tapes,
Yeah.
but they barely. eh, Okay, they go down to the grandma's house, and the grandma still has VHS,
Yeah.
and they'll watch movies on that. But I have to get a hold of an 8-track and show them. I mean, because, but
They
do
sound
they
good too, the
do
8 tracks.
they? Oh, that's another thing that sounds really good. That one you get a lot of bass out of. I think you only get
Yeah.
bass out of those.
Because they had a pretty big tape in there. So, it
Yeah,
sounded great.
yeah. I want to get my kids to take a look at that. But I remember growing up. I'm going to date myself. I'm 52 years old too. Um, I remember there's only AM radio.
Really?
Yeah, AM
Where'd you go?
radio.
Oh, we had FM out
I
here.
mean, we had FM, but it wasn't that. It wasn't as big as what it is. AM radio. I think they had a station called the Mighty 690.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that was AM. That was on
Yeah.
AM. Yeah,
That-
yeah, and that was the popular radio station, like what they listen to as far as K Rock today.
Right. Well,
Was called the Mighty 690.
we had KMET and KLOS out
Oh
in
yeah,
LA
yeah,
during the 70s. And yeah, the KLOS was like they were like the Journey, the
yeah.
girl station, and then KMET was more like Sabbath, like the you know
Oh yeah.
ant
Yeah,
station.
there was a difference. I'm surprised KBT is not still around. KLOS is still around, but
Yeah,
uh,
KLOS still around.
yeah, that does show around. K Rock, you mentioned Rodney on the Rock. I used to listen to him. Oh my gosh, I was so young. He's the one that introduced the new wave crave, and even
Oh
some
yeah,
of the even the punk bands, bringing them over, and bringing their sound over and saying, look at this, listen to this different type of new music that's being played on the East Coast or
yeah,
overseas. And he brought all that over.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. He did. It
it's,
seems like I remember hearing K Rock on AM radio, or maybe not. Maybe it was just an
yeah.
odd FM. But I remember hearing it in the car out partying with my friends once, and we heard Sex Pistols and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
was Rodney's show, and yeah, and
It's funny though, because when you look at him, he doesn't look anything like the person that he is. And then to see him have visitors or get a phone call from people like Paul McCartney,
oh yeah, I
and
know.
when David Bowie was alive, David Bowie was actually like one of his good friends, and which
Yeah.
is kind of weird.
Well, Rodney had a club on Sunset Strip in the late '60s.
Yeah,
And so, if anybody came through touring Bowie his first time, they visit there. Whoever is coming through town, they'll go to his disco.
yeah.
I don't know how long that lasted, but I think that was the late '60s. It's around the Sunset Strip riots and all that.
There's a very good documentary on him called "The Mayor of Sunset Strip."
I saw that. It was really
Yeah,
good.
that was really good, and it really gets you into his life and who he
Mhm.
was and the people that he surrounded himself with. And but he's still doing radio, isn't
He still does his show.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he still does show. I think that's
Great.
at night. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
But
think it's later, but yeah, he's still on.
yeah, great guy. I remember him. I used to be a K Rock listener more than a KLOS or a KMET radio. I do remember Dr. Demento on KMET,
Yeah.
the Dr. Demento show.
Oh yeah, we'd always we love that.
Yeah, and listening to a lot of AC/DC. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is some good. I mean, kids can't enjoy that kind of stuff anymore.
Well, yeah, it's disposable, just everything. Um, yeah, it's like you say, you're gonna give your kids a cassette or whatever. They can listen to anything they want and find anything they want on their phone. you know.
Oh yeah.
I remember, I remember in the 70s we had the Gem catalog, which was a distribution company, Gem.
Was it
And
Gemco or was it Gem?
no, it's just called Gem.
Okay. Okay.
And I found that book somewhere, and we could order records through that. And it had everything. So, you know, I spent a long time just loving progressive rock when I was a kid. And just finding all these tentacles of bands that would shoot out to this band, and then that goes to this band, you know, and just this whole tree of bands all through that Gem catalog. And if we ordered something, we'd have to wait forever for it to come, and then it was like having a piece of gold or something, you know. Where now it's just whatever, everyone just throws their music out. You can listen to it for free and
But
throw
back
it
then,
away.
the thing was when you bought a record or an album, or you bought a cassette, or you bought even a CD, you would listen to the entire thing.
Yeah.
And enjoy that specific record and know all the songs in that record. Today, they come out with one song, maybe two songs, and there's no album that goes along with it for the youth to enjoy.
No, I used to lay and stare at the record cover and just listen to it over and over again.
Record
Read the
covers,
liner notes over and over and over, you know.
record covers were the thing. I mean, there were the art on it or the pictures on it. I mean, that was part of the collection, was getting that record cover.
Well, yeah, and of course my favorite in the 70s was Alice Cooper. So if you bought one of his records, it was just full of all this crap and weird stuff and you
Yeah.
know, posters and things and cards and you know, panties, all kinds of stuff. I
So
used to love that.
you actually met Alice Cooper, right?
Yes, once. Well, I've met him quite a few times now.
At cons?
At cons, and first time we met him, I was in Cold September, and we were playing as 84 or 5 maybe, and he hadn't been around for a while. Of course, now you found out he went through his smoking crack thing, and you know, it wasn't alcohol; he was a crackhead, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at the Troubadour. We were doing our sound check one afternoon for a gig that night, and he was sitting there with Kane Roberts, and whatever was like, "Holy mackerel, you know, one of my favorite, you're my hero from when I was a kid, you know, I love you." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting a thing together and go back on the road." Of course, they were getting ready for the Constrictor tour, which was like his big comeback, and kind of went back to the Evil Alice and all that. So that was cool. And then yeah, after that, I've met him at 2 or 3 cons, and of course, if I know he's going to be there, I have a big stack of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
More than monsters, I have a big Alice Cooper collection, so I have a lot of 70s stuff and old posters and every tour book and you know everything I can get my hands on. It's like my favorite thing.
So
Can't really go see him in concert anymore. It doesn't do it for me. But of
is he playing still? I know he played
course,
before
he's
COVID.
never stopped.
Oh really?
No, not through COVID, but I think he'll be back on the road soon.
Yeah.
But it's shtick now. It's like circus shtick, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I still love him.
It's more theatrical.
Yeah, and it's very predictable. I can predict, you know. Like his early days were very unpredictable, you know. They'd have a set and a theatrical thing they were doing, but he would do whatever he felt like.
He's a great golfer.
He's a great golfer. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad saw him at a couple tournaments, you know.
Oh really?
Like, yeah, he's like, man, he's little, but man, he can hit that ball.
Hit that ball.
He's a long ball. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So would that be somebody that you idolize, or
I have, but
kind of
you
like
know,
your celebrity
yeah,
idol?
but boy, those wear off real quick. Anytime I've ever met anybody who I've known or idolized, that wears off like that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't have any kind of stars. I don't get starstruck or anything.
Yeah.
Then it just becomes a real thing, which is a cool memory and even better to have than some far off starstruck idea or something, you know. And you actually have a memory of meeting the guy and having a communication and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought I would be at first, but no, he's so everybody's so normal, you know. People like that are such normal people. It's, you know, you get this idea that they're not, even like Rob Zombie, you know, he's an old hippie guy.
Yeah, I think I think meeting Rob Zombie for me would be pretty cool, but it wouldn't be like, I don't get starstruck that often. I have before with only two people, which is very weird because they're not really. One is for he played with Nirvana. He was the fourth member. His name was um, Pat Smear.
Yeah.
I met
What?
Pat.
That's American Germs in LA. Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Germs. I met him in back of a VIP lounge, and I was told to go to the back because there was a bar there and there wasn't a line. So I went back there, it was empty, and I'm standing there waiting for my drink, and he's right behind me, and he says, "Oh, this is a cool place to get a drink because nobody's here." And I turn around, it was Pat Smear. And I didn't open my mouth or say a word. It was kind of weird that it would be him that I was like starstruck by. And the other
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The other person was the Christina Applegate. She came and sat by me at a dinner, and she said, "Is this place taken?" And I just stared at her. I walked away. I just,
Oh,
yeah, I couldn't talk to her. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but
yeah. She's got bad news now. That's too bad about her.
yeah,
I think she has MS, I think.
yeah.
Um, which actually, my lead singer, Joe Barrett from Cold September, he's unfortunately he has MS. He has for
Oh,
years.
yeah,
He fights that. But he became a photographer and videophile. He lives out in the high desert outside of LA and
yeah,
videotapes bands and takes pictures for bands out there.
yeah. It's a horrible disease or type of thing. I mean,
Yes.
we're dealing with something like COVID right now, and to think that these other things like MS or Alzheimer, some of those type of things, it's like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And thank God they don't spread,
Yeah. Oh
like
yeah. Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
COVID or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing's a mess.
But
Everybody get vaxxed. Wear your mask. Get
I
this over with.
it's funny because I'm in the Inland Empire, which is San Bernardino County,
Yeah.
and people are walking around with no mask.
Oh, yeah.
They have cons with no masks
Yep.
and certain things, but then you go across uh, the border between Pomona and Chino, because that's where the county line is,
Yep.
and you have to wear a mask. It's like weird. I mean, COVID does not stop. It doesn't stop at the
It
border.
does. No, it doesn't know where a borderline is or anything like that. But that's the American dilemma right there.
Yeah.
Trying to get everybody to do the same thing or even the right thing. And
Yeah.
you know,
I just got vaccinated. Um, the first shot didn't do anything to me. It hardened on my arm. That was it. The second one, oh my God, it put me on my ass.
yeah, yeah.
It didn't, I didn't get sick. I didn't get a fever, but it felt like my body, everything that I've done in the last year caught up to me and then just affected my body where I could not, it was just painful.
Right, right.
And it only lasted a day, but it was so painful to even move.
Well,
But
that's what COVID would be if you got it, but worse
yeah,
if you couldn't breathe and all that.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. But hopefully this stuff all goes away. Everybody just got to do the right thing. And I
yeah,
hate it. I can't stand wearing the mask, but you
yeah.
got to do what you got to do.
I'm
It's
used
like
to it.
this, we're into politics, or I knew we would go there because you can't help it. It's like this, like putting everybody back in school right now. There has to be a mandate across the entire United States, whether you like it or not. Sorry. And people will say it's against my rights for my kid to have to wear a mask. There's a dress code
Mhm.
for your kid to go to school. Did you
Yeah,
forget? There's a dress code.
yeah.
Okay. Remember the controversy then? It was just as bad. People were up in arms. You can't tell my kid what to wear in school. Well, yes, you can, you
Mhm.
know, and a mask is wearing another thing. So I don't know.
My youngest ones are supposed to go back on Tuesday, and we're still
Are all your
like,
teachers vaccinated? No.
no, they're not.
No. Are the
Um,
administration
our, our,
vaccinated?
our older kids, they had the vaccination, so and they're supposed to wear their masks inside the classroom. Now I can't be with them in the classroom, but I'm assuming that the school is enforcing that they wear their masks inside the classroom.
Yeah.
Um, Now the younger ones, they're not vaccinated, and they're going to school with non-vaccinated kids, and I
Because
mean
they're
it's
under 11, right?
yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
And there's a Delta variant going around that's even worse than the first variant.
Right.
So it's hard to determine uh, what to do in that situation. Now, I know that a lot of parents are a lot of the kids to go back to school, and kids are anxious to go back and meet up with their friends
Of
again and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a thing that I'm just
I- It's a
torn
catch
about.
22. Yeah, I know. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay. Is there anything else you want to plug?
Just, keep your eye out for me. I'll be at a few cons for the rest of the year and playing around the LA area. And if you're anywhere in Texas, we'll be out there next month, the beginning of the month. So hopefully we'll be in Austin and Houston.
And then
Other
there's
than that, just,
there's October 30th, Scare
yeah,
Fair. Walter Phelan will be there signing autographs, signing some of his pictures and meeting you folks. Come on out. It's at San Bernardino Fairgrounds, October 30th in Victorville. So
yeah, it's going to
that,
be fun. Come on out and talk movies and monsters.
yeah, it'd be a great day. And there's a Rob Zombie cover band called American Zombie playing too.
Oh,
So
cool. Awesome.
oh my gosh, I don't know if you've seen them, but they look
No,
and sound just like Rob Zombie. They do
I
the
can't wait.
theatrics on stage as well. So
Oh, that'll be fun.
it was good talking to you, Walter, and
You
I
too, Ed.
appreciate you doing this and coming out and supporting Scare Fair. And
You got it.
all right, all right, I'll see you guys later.
We'll
My
see you in a
public
few weeks.
my public life as an American nerd. Have a good day.
All right. Take care.